We are Brightside Theater.
Hey, home theater nerds, welcome to the Brightside Home Theater Podcast. A home theater podcast, it's all about the experiences, the sights,
the sounds,
the scenes.
Yeah, we see.
I'm not messing with it this week. I
You're
learned
not
my
messing
lesson.
with it. No. But we see you there, Paul. Shh, nobody make a sound. Just pretend we're not here. That's what he said in the chat before we started going. I was like, we see you, Paul. We see you. So yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah, we can see some if you guys start talking, we see it. We see it beforehand. So little sneak peek. Nice try. Sneaking up on us, gonna scare us in our own podcast. Like, boom. Ah! We got
leave the scares to next week.
Yeah.
4 years ago, John and I would have been like, there's listeners. Oh no. Oh yeah. How's your week been?
Good. Can't complain.
Yeah, good. Yeah, busy. Work has been crazy, as I was just saying to you guys before the show. Lots of allegedly bad people causing issues. 13 of them in 2 days. Which was unlucky for some, and by unlucky I mean me, because serious lack of sleep. And the knock-on effect is it then has an impact on the show because the amount of stuff I get to see is then limited by the amount of time I get in my theater. Right. So I'm a little bit tight this week. Oh, you're right, Deej. You there? Lost you. You there, John?
I'm here.
Yeah. Oh,
I can't hear DJ though.
Yeah, he's gone. We've lost it. Right, that's it. We're in control.
Yeah.
Okay, so in this case, John, let's just turn this into a. Someone's already mentioned scouts.
Football
I think
and rugby.
Yeah, that's it. We'll start talking important stuff.
Yeah.
Deej will start screaming and throwing stuff at the screen.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, we've lost you, Deej. This is what happened a few weeks back.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, there
you go. You're there.
Back. Yeah. Now let's see what happens here. Yeah. See, that was bad. So every now and then it must have done a mutiny. What the hell are you guys talking about?
It's a mutiny.
Yeah, mutiny on the Bounty.
Yeah. Yeah, I missed all of that.
Talking of which, we've got a couple of Anthony Hopkins movies this week.
We do. Yeah.
Talking about Mutiny on the Bounty. Oh, yes.
Okay. At least two. Yeah, two.
Right. Yeah, two. Same character, but two movies.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, my Roadcaster just every now and then it does exactly what it just did. It literally was like, no, we're not gonna keep going. We're gonna go into an update. Oh, really? So like, right now, like, okay, thank you. So get these things worked out before the 24-hour show because I'm sure that'll come up. 24 hours straight. What could go wrong?
Are you just rehearsing your alibi, Deej? Yeah, the Roadcaster went down. Yeah, that 2 hours. Me sleeping?
No,
how dare you?
I should have no alibi because you can see here I have my, as you guys can see in the backstage stuff, I have my backup going, so I can always just switch right to that. And I'll be doing that in the show too. Like,
you don't understand how to craft an alibi, do you?
Yeah, don't undermine your alibi. Once you set it up, let it sit there. As your lawyer, I've got to tell you, if you're going to have an alibi, stick to it.
You have the right to remain silent.
yes, and please do.
I've known that right for a long time, John. Have I ever used it?
No, that's true. That's true.
Have the right to not remain silent.
I was talking with Martin. We had an issue with the Nerdy Legion the other day, and then so he had to fix something. Then I went to download today's show, which Chris Brown, awesome. I don't know if you guys have heard that one. It's almost 4 hours long. It's like 3 hours and 50 minutes. But if you look at it on like iTunes or whatever, it'll tell you it's only like 325 because on the Nerdy Legion, I can only do like 100 megabyte file. And I did it in our normal 64 kilobits or whatever, and it came out at 112. So I had to back it up to 56. So I had texted Martin. I'm like, oh, I can't get on again. Something's going on. And then it dawned on me. I was like, oh, yeah, this is an extra long show. And so Martin says, he goes, did you truncate it? And I was like, truncate? What's that? And he goes, you truncate it. And I was like, what the hell does that mean? I've been doing this for almost 5 years, John and I, right? I used to spend 6-7 hours taking out the gaps in sound because I'd be like, so John, what did you think of the Dark Knight? Well,
So there's a one button thing that takes all that out, right?
oh, yeah, you can do the whole audio file and they'll turn all the silences into under a second long. I'm like, he goes, but you have to make everything one file though. So like John would say, which I used to do anyways. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's an easier way. So I learned that one, but he goes, oh, that'll be great. Martin's like, that'll be great for you. I go, I don't know if you've heard a lot of my podcasts lately. There's not a lot of 1 second pauses.
Yeah, there's not a lot of dead air.
It's like, I just keep it on, keep it going. But yeah, so I learned that, but not that I need it right now. But John and I had a lot of dead air. Remember the days?
Oh yeah. Oh,
We
yeah.
record this show.
Especially in the beginning. Yeah.
We'd be like, we said like, all right, let's talk about the Dark Knight. And then all of a sudden it'd be nothing. We'd be like, what else do you want to say about
Well,
this?
I think we also, I think we also knew we weren't live, so
Right.
it didn't matter. You know,
we
it was
never
really,
on
it was
live.
just your time, and that really doesn't mean anything to me. But now that we're live, I mean, that's why there's no dead air.
Don't drown DJ, John. Don't drink.
Anything to me.
I'd be
Your own
asleep,
time you
and he'd be
wasted.
waking me up with a text saying, "I'm almost finished."
Yeah. And fourthly, I'd say about the Dark Knight. Oh,
Yeah.
well, we turned that conversation 5 hours ago.
My favorite was John. John's like the exact opposite of me. And I'd be like, so John, what about that scene that was like blah, blah, blah? And I'd give this full description. And John go, yeah, that was good. Like, all right.
I'm not the wordsmith that you two are.
Yeah.
So,
I was like, all
It
right.
was great.
yeah.
Yeah, he's like,
And yet, if nothing else, other than the technology that has definitely changed, and when you go back and look at the old shows, you can see how it's evolved actually quite quickly. Even in the year that I've been on it, you know how much we've changed from way back then. But John, you and DJ as well, but you guys have both definitely changed in terms of how you talk on camera and on mic as well. You know, you guys have got this down to, if not a fine art, not far off it. Because you are there, but you can
I would
chat
say
off the
art?
cuff now. You know,
not
Yeah.
fine art.
It's an art. Yeah.
art. Yeah.
Kind of like Bozo
Well,
the Clown was an art form.
No, man.
Because I mean, we've had at least 20 different ways we've put these shows together over
Yeah.
5 years. You know, and I mean, this is by far the best setup we've had. And I have no doubt in 6 months we'll be doing something better and different because that's what DJ does. You know, I mean, he just continues to read. No, I'm not saying that as in a smart, you know, like a smart ass way. It's
No. Yeah.
It's, you know, he's constantly researching and trying to make things better. So I have no doubt we'll be doing it completely different in 6 months, and you know, it'll be a better show. So,
But you guys have, but you can now talk about anything like the drop of a hat, it seems. So if you say in the past something like the Dark Knight, which everyone's seen and got some sort of opinion on, you guys can now talk about just about anything off the cuff. I mean, if you'd said back then it would be live and you'd be here and there'd be people in the chat that can call you an idiot if they want to.
we could never
Don't
have
call
done-
us
I don't
idiots,
think we-
people in the chat.
Yeah.
You'd have been like, my God, what do we do?
Yeah.
I remember the mild panic when DJ sprang on us that time that we were live
Yeah.
without telling us.
Well, yeah, because
So, by
that's
the
the
way-
other thing is like we just get roped into things. It's like, oh,
I didn't
Green
know
room
it-
that time.
I never wanted
yeah.
to be live on YouTube, but here I
Yeah.
am. So,
I didn't either, but
Yeah.
I was like, all right, it works. All right, whatever. And we're good.
It's all good.
But Joe Hopeful in the chat, cricket control.
that's it.
He had, oh my God, we had so many crickets back then. And like you said, we weren't live, and that's why. that's why we weren't live. It's like, I mean, we used to have private conversations. I remember one time I took Jen to an appointment and I'm waiting outside, and John and I, this was like literally weeks into podcasting, and we're talking to each other on how to stop saying we had like a half-hour conversation on how do I stop saying I'm like, I don't know. I just hear us back, and
I
go,
emailed Ralph Garman when he started his podcast about how to control stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, I pay him every month, so I figure he did reply. Yeah.
Oh,
He
man.
did.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
For
hear
those
he's a
that don't
good
know,
guy.
Ralph, he's got a podcast that DJ and I listen to. So, or at least I don't know. I don't know if you still do, but I still listen every day.
Like I used to, but I do every now and then. But yeah, I still pay and still support him. But yeah, he was a talk show host, radio talk show.
Radio,
host.
yeah, he's a
And
radio
then-
DJ.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
out in LA, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mm.
yeah, made his own business, and he's doing great. So
Yeah.
But yeah, so and we're doing great.
Yeah.
Doing great. We're loving what we're doing. We're loving the listeners. Thank you, everybody that's here. We got Paul, Jordan, Joe. Let's see who else. I know there's more than this.
It's 14. Yeah,
Steve-
it's 14.
yeah,
Stephen
watching,
Atz
so-
in the chat.
That.
Yeah.
Let's see
Yeah.
who else. So yeah, say hi, guys. A lot of fun. Let's see. Yeah, no cricket control here. We don't need to worry about that because I'll just keep on yammering away. And speaking of yammering away, I was talking with our buddy this week, trying to schedule up Chris Deering for the 24-hour, and he can't make it. He's actually going to be in Texas doing a calibration tour, but he's all booked up.
I say he should come to my house.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I said. I'm like, hey, you want me to? I have listeners in Texas. I'm like, if you want. And he's like, I'm all booked up, but he's going to be traveling like from house to house doing his tour. And that's what he does. He books areas of the country and he goes there and does it. So he won't be able to join us then, but I'm trying to get him. He's doing one in the Bay Area at the end of November, beginning of December that he's not booked up on. So just go to deepdiveav.com, as you can see on the screen here, and just hit him up and say if you're in the Bay Area, in California, in the Bay Area, San Francisco area, and schedule a calibration, because it is a hot topic with us right now. So, but yeah, I talked to him, and then I also talked to Jim, my calibrator, and I wanted to get them on the show together. Jim does not want to come on. He's just so shy. He's like, no, he doesn't want to do it. So, unfortunately, you have to just go through me. Danny Speakers knows him, so he does exist, and Danny Speakers met him. So.
He is a real person.
He is a real person.
Is Jim in the room with you right now, Deej?
No.
Hi,
I
Jim.
mean, can you see him?
Yeah, exactly. No. Because that would really wouldn't work. I learned a lot from him, and I can't be like, set that setting to my television. Okay. I was like, no, that wouldn't work. Yeah, exactly. But yeah,
Right. Well, Paul is asking for some tricks of the trade here, fellas. So, is there a trick to not saying
confident.
The advice I got is that really it's a nervous tick. So, I mean, the more comfortable you feel with doing it and have things to say, you do it less.
Right.
In the beginning, we were not comfortable, and we had a lot of dead air, and we had a lot of that. And it's just, they're just nervous fillers, and so you just have to be comfortable, with what you're doing. So.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It's the most, like I said, it's confidence, which is hard to tell people because that just makes you more nervous. Because then it'd be like, just have confidence. Well, if I had that, I wouldn't be asking the question.
Nobody can give it to you, really. You just have
Right.
Well, I suppose that
it
comes
just
from
develops over
practice.
time. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
practice
just
and
develops over
familiarity.
time.
Yeah, I say it to students. I mean, I teach advocacy as well to baby barristers. Again, don't use the word to them, baby barristers, but they're training. And they do it sometimes. They'll do lots of ums and ahs, and like just practice it, relax, deep breaths.
Yeah.
It'll come. You'll be fine. And they seem to get it eventually. Some of them, most of them.
I learned a lot just from editing us and Greg, there we go. Greg with the
Got a yellow donation.
that. We just guys,
Thanks, Greg.
found out what $10 color looks like.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. What color do we get for $1 million? Does anyone know? Can we
You know what we get? A blank screen. No, guys.
Yeah.
bye.
I'm out.
Tell me this. But tell me so
That-
this is the criminal lawyer part of me, right? Deej, tell me to shut up if I'm saying something I shouldn't. Would that not be a way of money laundering? If you were going, right, okay, I'm going to pay $1,000
Yeah.
for a message and just keep doing that, then that's your money going, and it's sort of a bit.
But how's it coming back to
Interesting, isn't
you? How's it? How are you receiving
if
the
you've got
laundry?
the show?
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you have a show,
So-
art is one of the biggest money launderers in the world.
Right.
It's and so that would be another form of this. It'd be like somebody like, why did they just pay that much for that?
Right.
You know, and it's another way to like it is. So and now
For the record, I'm
literally-
not suggesting Greg is doing that, and we are not doing that. but just,
no. But no, that is what happened. It's like now that $10 has just been laundered. It's like
Right.
so I get $10 or we get $10.
Yeah. So if you own the show,
Thank you, Craig. And
you
look
can
at where
pay
it's
that to yourself.
instead of
Right.
being like, yay.
Yeah. Thanks, Greg. But again, $1 million.
very
Let's
much.
just see what the color is.
Yeah.
No problem, Paul.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Greg, yeah. Thanks.
But
Greg.
what I was saying is I learned a lot about those ums and stuff just from editing it, because when you take it out, you realize how much of a mental space it is. Because
Right.
like I would I'd say something like I went to the store the other day, and when you take it out and put it back together, it just sounds like I went to the store the other day. I mean, everything, the inflection, everything is perfect. And I got to know like what it looks like and John's. Like I didn't even have to hear it. I just go through and be like, there's an from John, and I'd take it right out. I didn't, I knew what they looked like. So it's fun.
Yeah.
There's another one.
Yeah. Now we're all going to be really conscious about saying,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
they still, I still have them. They're still there, but
Yeah, everybody does. But that's the other part is that, this is a lesson on speaking and coming from us.
yeah.
But,
Well,
yeah,
Steve's semi-professional. You and I are just,
yeah. I can ramble.
yeah.
But that's the thing is once they start, and then once you start getting conscious about it, and you're like,
Yeah.
and
it's worse. Yeah.
it's brutal. Yeah, brutal. This week on let's see. Oh, Patreon. We conned. I mean, let's see. No.
Coerced.
Coerced. Don
We laundered another $10.
yeah. Don Hensley signed up to be a Patreon supporter.
Don Henley?
Don Hensley.
Oh, Hensley. I was like, we got the Eagles.
Yeah, exactly. So he signed up, and I have bumped, for people that haven't seen the Patreon message, I bumped our Zoom chat to tomorrow night because the schedule gets packed starting this week into next week, because I have obviously the 24-hour show coming up, and then next Wednesday night, Todd and I are going to try to do another fireside chat, 1-hour chat to kind of preview the 24-hour show. Anybody interested in joining me on the 24-hour show, let me know. I have space now, but it is filling up. I could probably fill it up even now, but I want to give as many people as many opportunities as I can. So I should have I've got guests coming on and listeners. So I'm trying to get the guests all lined up and then plop the listeners in around it. And I'm trying to do mostly listeners, like 60-40, maybe 70-30, something like that. But yeah, so it's going to be a lot of fun. I wish I could do it right now. I cannot wait to sit down and do this and go 24 hours. And so
Well, a bit of warning would have been nice, Deej. I've got caught in the morning, mate. I mean, come on.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, so there we got that. So thanks, Don, for signing up on Patreon. Anybody else wants to join us over there, patreon.com/brightside home theater. Just fun. We have the Zoom meeting at least twice a month over there, and talk about the show. We talk about home theater. We talk about anything and everything, really. We've had a couple of really good chats, and some of them had nothing to do with home theater. We were just talking about other things.
Not money laundering.
Get no money laundering. No. Jesus, you can't let that go, can you?
Just I've got it in my head.
I know. Over $10.
Hey, it's got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Journey of 1,000 miles.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that was awesome. That's awesome. Thank you, Greg. Thank you again. It's still highlighted in yellow right in the chat right there. You can't miss it. All right. You guys ready to get to let me see. Let me pull up the images that I got to pull up here now. Where are they?
The schedule out here.
Are we ready to get to Hey John, you know what we could do this week? Why don't we go around your room right now? We haven't done that in a little bit. And why don't you tell everybody what you have in your system? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but just roughly off the top of your head.
Well, no, I can just pull up my list. Hold on.
Okay.
I just they texted me from work, but I'm
okay.
All right. Let me just
why don't we
I'm good. I'm good. Let me
go around your room and John will do you next week.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Good.
I'm not going to be piggy in the middle.
I tell you that right now.
It's all right. So my room starts with my projector, which is the AWOL LTV 3500, which is a 4K ultra short throw projector. And I'm pairing that with an Elite Screens CLR3 123-inch screen. Use a UB820 Panasonic Blu-ray player. Get a Denon 6500H processor, an Emotiva A3 amplifier from my LCR, and let's see, for my speakers, I run two Klipsch RP8000F towers, an RP504C center, and four R51M for my surround speakers, all Klipsch. Four Yamaha Atmos speakers and two SVS PC2000 subwoofers. I also use a mini DSP 2x4, which was professionally calibrated for my subs. And my media player is an Apple TV. And let's see. I run an AC Infinity cooling fan and an MR4300 power conditioner and a Harmony Hub remote. So that is my equipment list.
Nice. And by the way, that is all in his living room.
In my living room, yes.
And
there are some couches in there.
There are some couches. There's a plant or two. Yep. There's a wife on the couch next to me.
Yep.
Yeah. I had to integrate it into the room. The biggest eye roll was when the wife. The biggest eye roll was when Lydia came home and there was 3-inch black felt all around the borders of my screen to dampen the light. That was almost the breaking point, but I was able to push through and I made that work. So
you haven't missed.
I made sure I got that done when she was at work. And
you've missed something important, John. You've missed the on-tap, top, high-quality Italian food.
Yeah, that's in the kitchen. Throughout. Yeah, that's in the kitchen.
Yeah, but it's just there. It's right.
It's there.
Yeah.
So
let's see. Is Fred new? Fred 215.
Yeah, I think you might. Yeah, Fred 215.
There we go.
Yeah.
Fred.
Hey, Fred.
Hey, Fred.
Hey, buddy.
It's Hey Fred
Fred.
Productions, isn't it?
Hey, yeah. Hey, Fred Productions.
Hey, that's Hey Fred Productions. That's right. Look at you. Yeah, Van Gool's in there too. How you doing? And you can hear my dog if you heard that. All right. We ready to get to this week's real home theater experiences? That's spelled REEL. All right.
Oh yeah.
Let's do it.
Real estate.
I gotta shorten that. That seems too long now.
Truncate it. It's today's word.
Yeah. But it's not silent, so can't do that. All right. First up, we have here. Oh, I forgot to change our brand. We've got a new image for the thing. And while we're at it, why don't I say this? If you're watching us this far into YouTube, we've been on for 24 minutes. If you're still watching and you're not subscribing, please go subscribe. See, I got a little image there for you, huh? And if you're listening to the audio only, get on YouTube and go subscribe.
It's free for you, but it
Why
means a
don't you
lot to
subscribe?
us.
It's free. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's free for you, but look at us.
It does mean a lot to us. So,
All right. So first up, we're stepping outside our norm here. John and I have talked about this in the past, but I think this is the first time since the three of us have been together. So take it away, Steve.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a bit unusual, as you say, Deej, although we did talk PSVR 2 a little while ago, which was the Star Wars Tales from Galaxy's Edge, which was so cinematic, it was crazy. So yeah, and there is a reason. This is Spider-Man 2 on PS5, which came out here last week on Friday. So why are we mentioning it on the Brightside Home Theater podcast? Well, there is a good reason, because a couple of weeks ago, Sony upgraded, I think it was a couple of weeks, might have been slightly longer, but Sony updated and upgraded the PS5 to then allow games to play in Dolby Atmos. Now, previously, my setup has been 7.1 only. It's not upmixed. I wasn't aware if we even would upmix it. So it was 7.1 and that was it, which still sounded pretty good. But when this game came out, I thought, you know what, now's the time for the update. I haven't touched my PS5 in a few weeks. So updated it, set it to Dolby Atmos, and boy, oh boy, oh boy, does this change the game, if you'll forgive me.
Does it really?
Yeah, it does. Now, the first thing I tried with it was God of War Ragnarok, which is a kind of a fairly new game on it as well. And honestly, guys, bear in mind that we upmix, don't we? So when we watch movies, everything pretty much we watch is operating in pretty much all of the speakers and the overheads and everything else when appropriate. So when playing games, it was only through 7.1. So when it flicks into Dolby Atmos, and it took a couple of probably 30 seconds to bring through the audio feed when I first did it. And I swear to you guys, it's like someone took the ceiling and just went whack like that. And it was the whole room came alive even more. And there's the opening of God of War Ragnarok where they've got a sled going through the woods and there are trees falling and you can hear them coming right over your head and right on top, which was great. So I was thinking, oh, this is brilliant. And then I tried Spider-Man 2 and it's even better, because the whole thing takes place in New York, of course, surprise, surprise. And so you've got all the traffic noise, you've got the wind between the buildings, you've got every time Spider-Man sort of whips a web, the little thwip noise goes up and over into the overheads and then to the back of the room as well as he goes past. It's really, really good. Now, I haven't tried any movies and Dolby Atmos through the PS5. One, I don't need to. And two, I've got the digital PS5, so I couldn't put a disc in anyway. But so, you know, if this is sort of the thing you're thinking about in terms of your 4K player, I can't say how good that is. But what I can say is for Dolby Atmos with gaming, it's fantastic. And there is no going back to this.
Does it have like the Bravia core engine for streaming movies, though, through the PS5?
Yes. Do you mean PS5? Yes, it does. And funnily enough, it's a good question, John, because someone tweeted me about it. Forgive me, I've forgotten who it was. X'd me about it. Tweeted, I don't know, sent something, some sort of electronic communication. And so they mentioned it, but I haven't tried it because, again, you guys know what I'm like. If a movie's out that I want to see, I'll buy it on disc. You know, I don't. It's very rare that I buy the digital version of anything, and it's only Dial of Density and Maverick, and in the last 3 years. Yeah. So I'd rather have the disc. But yes, it does have that, John. You're right.
Well, they've supposedly really upped their game video wise through that. So I was just curious.
Yeah, quite. But it does have it. Yeah, the PS5 does allow you to do it. But the quality of it, I don't know. As I said, I haven't tried it. But boy, oh boy, does it change how you play the games, and the audio and the positioning in the room is fantastic. And I was in there while someone else was playing it yesterday and today. And it's just so much fun to just close your eyes and just listen to all this stuff going around you. It's great. Really, really good. So if you've got a PS5 or you're thinking of getting one, you've got to set the thing. It doesn't do it automatically. You've got to go into system, sound, settings, and tell it to output to a Dolby Atmos, and away you go. You'd be very glad you did.
Nice.
Nice.
So I figured that was a home cinema tweak of us to a certain extent.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
well. I've heard. Obviously, we've all heard of this one coming, and I think the last time when Spider-Man came out, how many years? That was on the PS4
2018.
at the end of the
yeah.
PS4, right?
Yeah.
And John and I got into that, and we talked
Yeah.
about that on chat. I mean, we had a lot of fun with it, and I think that was like the that last big run of video gaming.
It's like probably the last game I really played.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you guys will.
It's been a while.
If you enjoyed that, this is
Yeah.
that plus, to the nth degree. It's a bigger map. The graphics on it are ludicrously good, and this has been designed on the PS5 from the ground up. So I mean, you can see actually from that picture there. That's a screen grab from one of the things. The detail level on the costumes and all the other bits and pieces. It's phenomenal. I mean, Jordan says in the chat there, fair play, Jordan, you've got more time than I've got, buddy. He's completed the story mode on Sunday and 100% completed it today. Gracious me.
Wow.
Absolutely amazing game. It looks and sounds stunning. It does look and sound stunning, and it is a really good game. I'm about 13% through it so far. So, and that's so, but it's so much fun to do, guys. And, the other one was great where you could just swing around the city and just get into fights. And you can do all that on this, but you've got like airfoil so they can float and glide through the city now as well.
Yeah, I heard the
Oh,
wind
it's
funnels or
so-
something.
It's so much fun. Yeah, and on the big screens, and obviously you guys are bigger screens than mine, but you can see from there just how bright and colourful it looks. It's absolutely excellent. I'm not sure it's worth buying a PS5 for, fellas, but it is very good.
Considering I probably won't play it, it's probably not worth it.
Well, there you go.
I
But I'm
don't.
sure it
I'm
would
only
sound
halfway
lovely.
through Spider-Man 1 5 years later.
Well, there
So
you go. Well, it's a hell of an investment, then. If you're going to get 5 years out of it, that's quite
true.
good.
Well, we probably get the same amount of hours to do it. It just took us 5 years to do it.
Exactly.
And we're still not doing it. We still haven't finished.
Oh, man. But no, it's really, really good. And a nice, appreciable upgrade in terms of the sound. Yeah, I was really pleased with this. So the fun is now going back through all the games and playing them again.
I was,
Right.
yeah. It well,
Should do Last of Us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
games have to have Atmos to them, though, right?
Well, this is the thing I've not yet tried these. I'm not certain what I don't know whether they've upgraded them all so that they will just automatically upmix to it, or whether they've got to be coded in Atmos. But Ragnarok went straight into Atmos, and it wasn't at the time because it wasn't available at the time in Atmos. This one has. I must admit, I haven't tried, for instance, Fortnite or games like that to see whether because Fortnite was in 7.1 and sounds really good. So I don't know whether they'll just put updates for them, or whether it's just going to upmix it like we've done. So I don't know is the honest answer, but I will try it and report back happily.
Yeah, because this would be a selling point for my son. Like he plays a ton of video games right now, and well, not right now. When I was his age, I played a ton too. But we still have the PS4, and we have he's like, I've got no reason to get the 5, and he loves the games that he's playing. He still gets to go online and play with his buddies, even whether you have a 4 or a 5, as long as you have the same game. But he does love the experience of being in the theater, and you play first person shooting games and stuff, and you can hear stuff around you. I could imagine that the Atmos experience added to that. He knows what that means, and he would love that. So he would be like, oh, well, time to get the PS5, Dad, and like add that to the room. So if that's the case, that would be a big reason to upgrade right there for him.
Yeah, well, Call of Duty and the new one that's coming out will 100% have Atmos, because I think the Xbox games, the Xbox Series S and X has had it for a while, and so they are routinely doing Atmos on their games. So I'm sure COD will have it, the new one will have it. But yeah, no, I'll try some of the older games and see, because it does come up on the receiver Atmos. It's actually there, so I will know if it is decoding in that or not. But yeah, I will check and report back. But yeah, it's very cool. And if you've got a PS5, make sure you set it, because it doesn't tell you to. It doesn't give you the nudge, which you think it would.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There we go. But so yeah, well worth it.
Every time we put a movie in, we're like, am I getting the right one?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we've been scammed so many times, like Superman
Mm.
was, and you're like, you gotta hit it. It doesn't default to the better setting, but
Yeah, it's
all
weird.
right. Are we ready for this next one? And we'll finally. Did everybody finish this? We ready
Yes.
to do it? Oh, you didn't, Steve. Well, we're not
No,
going to talk spoilers anyway.
my homework has been was eaten by the dog.
Yeah, my dog ate my homework.
Yeah.
Yeah. What John said, what he said.
Yeah, it was-
I've watched one more. What I did see though, guys, is so this is the Fall of the House of Usher
yeah,
on
yeah.
Netflix. I did see the episode 5, so now I know what you guys were talking about when you said I've got to get another. I'll get Hemsworth to send me another hammer.
Right.
I had no clue what you were talking about last week. So when he picked it up in this episode, I'm like, oh, that's what they meant. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I tried to watch one earlier this afternoon and just couldn't do it. Not because of the quality of it. I got called away, and then that was that. So I am going to make it my mission to complete this because I'm really enjoying it more than John.
Yeah.
I'm really
Oh, you
enjoying it,
didn't
and
like it,
I
John?
want to finish it.
I didn't not like it. I just didn't like it as much as some of his other works.
Okay.
Like I put this like third on kind of the Mike Flanagan list of Netflix shows. Well, spoiler, I guess I'll just jump right into it. Like I kind of was mentioning last week, with the last series, it really didn't come together for me until the last 2 episodes. This one, kind of the same. It really came together in episode 8 for me.
This one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got, I don't know, spoiler-ish, I guess, but you've got the setup episode 1, then you've got 6 episodes where each one of the kids meets their fate, and then you have episode 8, which is kind of like the
Wrap up.
wrap up. So it did come together for me.
Not really spoiler, but yeah.
Yeah, it did come back to me, or it did kind of wrap up for me really nicely in episode 8.
Oh, good.
I liked some of the poetry from Poe that was recited there by Bruce. Bruce Greenwood was unbelievable in this. I have to say, everybody was great, but it was exceptional. I've seen him in many things, and this is the best thing I think he's ever done. Like I think he was excellent. And his kind of reciting the poetry and things was really, really nicely done. So yeah, it still falls a little short of Hill House for me, but it was good. I liked it. So
Yeah.
I mean, bearing in mind I'm only up to episode 5, but to me it's like a kind of fine wine. I'm sort of savoring it. I quite like that I'm watching it in little bits because you kind of don't really want it to end. And if someone said to you classy horror, and certainly in terms of TV, this is kind of from now on, this is what I'm going to be thinking about. I wouldn't call it elevated horror, but in terms of classy sort of, really kind of production values and delivery and everything else, I think it's absolutely awesome. And Fred just says, because we think Fred's new, I think he means the sound. The sound is so good in that show.
Excellent.
And bass crazy.
Yeah. A lot of good jump scares. And they use the sound to do that as well. It's like, I mean, the production quality of this it's funny. One of the reasons I wanted to bring it up this week too is because like Jen and I watched it just like you, Steve. It's like we tried to pace ourselves, and every episode, it wasn't like they left you necessarily on a cliffhanger. Each episode is self-contained, right? So, and even to John's point, you kind of know the story, or you know what's going to happen in each one, because you know which kid is going to have this happen and blah blah blah. But at the end of every episode, it's not like you're left with something going, I can't wait to find out what's next. But it's just so well done that at the end, you just want to go to the next one, right? And it's like, but like Jen and I were like, nope, we will wait. We'll wait. We'll let it. We'll savor this, and then we talked about it. But it was like the final 3. We got to the final 3, and it was like, all right. What was that? So that was the 5th episode. We were like, or the 6th episode. We were like, all right, we will wait. But then we did the 7th, and we came to the 8th, and Jen was like, no, we've got to do this. There's no way. I'm not waiting. I was like, all right, let's go. And it was later at night, and she had to work, and I'm like, all right, let's go. And because you do get to that point, you're like, oh, it's just so good.
The Telltale Heart was that episode 6? The Telltale Heart episode.
Yeah. So yeah,
Steve, have you seen that one yet?
No,
I know. I've done
so
5.
so then
six is my next one.
So it's 6.
Yeah.
That was a very good episode. I did really enjoy that one.
Do the Simpsons turn up in it though? That's what I need to know. Does Lisa Simpson wander in at any point?
No, not at all.
Showing my illiteracy here.
It does pick up from there, but then at the end of it, what I really liked about this, and Jen and I are going to go back, go back. We've never seen it. The Haunting of Hill House, which I think you said was his first one. And
that was his first one, and I still think his best one.
Okay. So we're going to go do that, but just reading it, obviously I'm kind of prejudging it, but this one here, what I really liked about it was the whole Edgar Allan Poe thing,
right?
And how they told the story. And like one of my first texts to you, John, after watching a couple of these episodes was like, I loved what they did here. And it's like none of these are like torn directly from Edgar Allan Poe.
No, but they're very inspired.
Yes, exactly. That's which is great because they found a new way to tell all of these different stories. Like even the Telltale Heart episode, of course, you're going to get that bit of the story and you're going to see that flat out. Pit and the Pendulum, same thing. Right. But throughout the entire thread, the entire series, you get Telltale Heart, you get Pit and the Pendulum, you get Usher, Fall of House. You get all of those pieces, but it's told in such a different way that I thought that was what was so creative to me. And I'm not sure I will be able to experience that in like Haunting of Hill House.
Yeah, it's more of a ghost story. It's more of a haunted house ghost story. It's not this,
right.
But it does have a story, though. The thing is, same thing with Bly Manor. They're haunted house stories, but there's more to them. Like there is a story to be had that like I said, which I enjoyed. The only one I didn't watch was Midnight Club. I couldn't get into it.
Wasn't it?
That was the one right before this one. Yeah, that was the students.
Right.
I couldn't get into that one. Midnight Mass, even though it seems to be the favorite of everybody, I think was my least favorite of the bunch because I felt it's so predictable.
But I will say that as much as I raved last week, and I still do, because once you get into this, it's like going back and watching like we've talked about in the past, like Karate Kid. And seeing the remaster and you're like, oh, it's not exactly great. But then you get into it and you're like, oh my God, it's better than it's ever looked. And it is still streaming. And Jen and I, we were so focused on this, I didn't really watch anything else. And then we had a couple of days where we couldn't do this. So I did a couple of other things, which were all, physical media. And then I come back to this and I was like, I think she even watched one with me. We did another show or a movie or whatever that we're going to talk about. And we came back to it and we're like, are these the same settings? Am I like checking my setting? Because it didn't look as good as when I first, because it is still streaming. But it's like when you jump away and you go see something else. And I think that's what happened is we had watched, I forget which movie it was that we watched this week. And we literally went, want to do an Usher? And she's like, yeah. And we went right from like rock solid HDR physical media. And you're just like, yeah. And you go into Usher and you're like, that scene and like them sitting by the fire. You're like, blacks just don't look right. I'm like, is this what I saw before? It's like, but you just can't compare to physical. It's just that much different. And it's like and I think that's a credit to Netflix though, because once you're into this stuff, they do a great job. And once it washed over us and we're watching it, we're like, oh yeah, this is what I'm talking about. And like we're all saying in the chat and everything, it's like the audio in this is stellar. It's just really, really good. Jump scares, tons of bass. I mean, you feel it, you jump. I mean, and that's storytelling, sound, picture. It's just really, really a fun October experience for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely got Halloween written all over it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
This is something that I wish they'd release physically. I mean, I'd pick this up second one.
They may.
If they release
They
it.
may.
It would be nice.
There's
But I don't know.
rumors.
They haven't released the others, have they? So
No,
they
it's
haven't.
unlikely.
No,
No,
but we
so-
did get, like John and I talked about this a little while ago too. It's that we did just get Sandman. So
Hmm.
that was, so who knows? You don't know. It's like, I mean, I don't know. You can hope, and there's money for sure to be made there. So yeah. All right, John, you ready for yours? This is
Ooh,
this is a good one. So all right, here we go.
All right, so playing catch up once again to you guys from a week or two ago. This
We
was
interrupt broadcast.
Silence of the Lambs.
Catch up.
What's it? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming this is high quality ketchup. Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
catch up.
it's-
Catch up. Sorry,
it's-
Catch up.
Yeah, it's definitely Heinz.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you made your own, John.
exactly. Come on.
I mean,
I don't
Yeah,
make ketchup
Italiano.
yet.
is ketchup Italian?
Ketchup's not Italian.
Oh,
No, not at all. So, Silence of the Lambs, 4K UHD, DTS Master Audio 5.1. Yeah, again, this will be fairly quick because you guys went to this in depth 2 weeks ago. Everything you said is spot on. I mean, this looked fantastic. I thought the sound was excellent. I think, Steve, you were talking about, some of the close-ups, on like Jodie Foster, or like the scene where they are doing the autopsy and they have the whatever that is they put on their noses. I mean,
Yeah.
like you can literally see the pores and
yeah.
just see it, like the sweat dripping down their faces.
coat.
It looked amazing.
The green coat
yeah.
that you wore, the green
Yeah.
that you wore throughout.
Yeah.
Chris and I talked about it in today's Takeover Tuesday.
Yeah.
It came out, and I saw like you added this to the list early last.
I watched it early last week. Yeah,
Yeah,
it came in Monday or Tuesday,
week. Yeah,
and
and I think Chris and I had just recorded or something, and I saw it, and I was like, "Oh my god, I can't wait to talk about it again!"
right.
like-
And again, Steve, I think you were talking about the scene where towards the basically the finale where he's got the night vision glasses on, and yeah, I mean it just looks amazing. So very, very, very well done disc.
Yeah, the bit where the initial meeting between Foster and obviously Hopkins, there is the interplay as the scene plays out. They're getting closer and closer. Each time they cut, it's closer, and the way it sort of ends, you've got Anthony Hopkins looks like he's in the room, just staring right at you, and incredibly intimidating. And I'd never seen it in the cinema, so this was, for me, it was the biggest screen I'd seen it on.
Right.
Yeah.
And it really, you do feel this good, it's really oppressive thing. So on a 123-inch screen, John, it must have been.
It was massive,
wow.
yeah. And I don't know, I can't remember if I saw this in the theaters. I think that I did, but again, we're going back 25 years or whatever, however old this movie is. So I don't recall. if I did.
Yeah,
But
man. No, I definitely didn't.
but seeing it again in the big screen, and I hadn't seen this movie in many years. Not that I didn't remember it. I've seen it a bunch of times, but it's nice to revisit things after 5 or 6, 7 years and just kind of just let them wash over you. And I forgot just how great this movie really is. It's an excellent movie. So
Well, it's really. I mean, again, you'd think the delivery system just seems to have some sort of impact. It's very strange, isn't it?
almost, yeah.
But this particular version of it just seems to take everything all the craft that's been put into the story and the cinematography and the filmmaking just seems to be massively enhanced by this particular version of it. We've all seen it. I mean, you guys, I think you said you had it on Laserdisc, but we've seen it on VHS, we've seen it on DVD, we've seen it now on Blu-ray, and then finally in 4K. And this just seems to be a different level again to the immersion and the sheer kind of the drama, the cloying atmosphere. And as I've said, I said initially and said to Dejan, and again with you, John, and you mentioned that, in the dark with the night vision, that has never been more threatening.
No.
Never felt more, I don't want to be in here. Can we get out of here, please? Right. And the little fluttering of the moths and the movement all around the room is genuinely intimidating. I mean, I'm getting a shiver up my spine just talking about it.
I say the other scene too is and this is I mean, I don't want to say it's a glorious scene because it's far from it, but the scene where, you've got like the crucifixion on the cage of the
Oh,
officer.
yeah.
I mean, it is glorious. Like, even though the subject matter is far from it, but I mean, that imagery and the just the pop of that on the screen, it was really a beautiful scene. Taking away again the subject matter, but I mean the color. I mean, it just was crystal clear and it looked awesome.
Yeah,
So,
beautifully brutal.
yeah,
And
exactly.
we're going to be talking about something similar a bit later as well.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, it's such a good disc. Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, what do we think, guys? I mean, we don't talk very often about must-own discs, but I
Yeah.
think for a fan of the show,
Oh, for sure.
and of the film, it got to be, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we said that, Steve. When we
Mm.
talked about it, it's like you kind of have to own it. And like just going off of like what you guys just said, it's like John's like, I don't remember if I saw it in the theater. And even if you like, I know I did because Jen and I saw it in the theater. She loved it then. And we had it on Laserdisc. We had it on VHS. But when you watched it on Laserdisc or VHS, it was on a 32-inch television.
right.
And if it had if you got it letterboxed, which is the appropriate way to get your Laserdisc,
Right.
you get it on letterbox box, it's even a smaller screen, right? Because now you're down to like this on a 32-inch television that you've just reduced down to what, a 25 or something like that. And
Right.
we never really got to experience it, or even if you saw it in the theater, you don't remember the experience of the cinematography, of the filmmaking. And was our theaters back then as good as what our rooms are now? So seeing that's what shocked Jen and I, was like, I didn't realize they were this close, because this is on, what is it, 185, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
185 scale. So you're like ratio, and it's just your whole screen is like
Yeah.
Jodie Foster and then Scott Glenn, and you're just like, it looks so good, and it just it's a psychological thriller, but the cinematography is part of the psychological thrill, because you're like, what
Oh, yeah.
the focus on everybody, and you just, so it kind of is a must own, because I don't think you've seen this movie until you've seen this on your system, on your screen, because we all remember the story, but how it was told to us, we weren't able to welcome into our homes like you can today.
There's a few things in the chat. Poor old Paul.
There you go.
Just say, here's Kino Lorber copy of Silence is on a boat somewhere in the middle of the Atlantic, I think. All right.
As
Well,
long as
hopefully
it's
no
not
icebergs.
water, we're good.
Yeah. No, hopefully no icebergs, Paul, because that's a totally different film.
Yeah.
Also coming in December, actually, as it turns out. So there we go. And Chris says, Chris Brown says, how do we sign up to be a member of the channel? I want to get my badge.
I don't know. Chris,
Don't ask us.
it's exactly Chris. It was so funny.
How should we know?
Well,
Yeah.
Chris and I, like I said,
We just work here.
We talked for almost 4 hours, and he was so awesome. And like, so I even say this in the Takeover Tuesday, right? So I remember early on in the show, I was like, oh crap. And this is all in my head. I'm thinking while I'm talking to him, I'm like, was he the one that bought us our first 99? Was it him? I don't want to say it was him. Like, I didn't want to thank him and then have him go, it wasn't me, and be like, oh crap, now I just put him on the spot. So then later on he brought it up. I was like, thank you. I forget, because I forget that. And it doesn't mean we don't care, but I'm like, oh, I forget this stuff, I should write it down, but whatever. But so you can become a member. I just activated it the other day. I thought I activated it last week. I don't know how to do it, and Chris and I talked in the Takeover Tuesday. I was like, how do you buy the whatever, like we got the $10 super chat. How'd you do that? So he talked us through it. I go, this is audio only, so it's not like a shameless plug, but I don't know how to do this stuff. I honestly don't. We're just flying by the seat of our pants, and all the support. And this is my favorite part. It's all from you guys. It's all from the listeners. It's, as much as everybody's like, you should get, accept sponsors into your life. I'm like, no, I'm sponsored by the people. I love that part. So whatever you can figure out, schedule a Takeover Tuesday. Tell me.
Yeah, let us know.
No.
Send us a super chat to let us know.
Yeah. So that's so cool, Chris. Thank you for trying. If you get it, great. If not, it's all good too. But there is a way to become a member of the YouTube channel. And it's a fixed number. I think it's $4.99 a month. There's no like I could have put stages, like it's $4.99 and then you could add a 10 whatever. I just picked one, and I'm like, just do that. It's no need for anything else.
Yeah, so VJM just puts in the chat. He said he heard the Kino Lorber disc had some blown out whites, the first part of the movie. Did you see any of that? If there were, the opening is quite dreamlike anyway. It's quite eerie in a very deliberate way, and I think that any look at this. Just sorry guys, just 2 seconds.
There we go.
Nice.
We interrupt this program to bring you an urgent YouTube member.
Yeah. So now he's highlighted in green, but does he get the new logo? That's
So
the thing.
now what happens if you donate another $10 is the question. What color are you then?
Or $1 million.
Yeah.
Come on, John. Let's not sell ourselves short.
Just true.
Right, sorry, going back to this.
Done the 10. Been there, done that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Come on, progress. Onwards and upwards. So if I didn't notice any obtrusive, inappropriate, blown out whites. It is, as I said, it's quite a dreamlike, eerie kind of opening, and so I would say that's deliberate. It has a kind of when she's running through the woods, it's got a sort of strange kind of there is mist forming, and there are kind of slightly strange things going on there. So I would say that's deliberate. I didn't notice anything that was a problem. I mean, and even if there is, and as I said, I didn't notice it, and you guys didn't either, I don't think. Then do not let that, VJ, do not let that put you off getting this.
No.
Get it. You will love it.
Yeah.
It is awesome. And Paul, again, sorry, buddy, if it is floating in the middle of the Atlantic, all I would say to you is it's worth the wait, mate. All right. So if it is on a boat just floating in the middle of the Atlantic,
It'll get to you eventually.
It will get you to you eventually. Your heart will go on. Yeah, I could just see Paul in the middle of a boat, sort of, it's been 84 years since I had Silence of the Lambs on 4K disc.
Chris also says, thanks for having me. Blessings to all who made it the full way. There are a little bit of Easter eggs in the final half hour for those that make it that far. I won't give them away here, but there's some fun behind the scenes stuff that Chris and I get to. It's pretty funny. And I even say, I go, I'll give it away here. No, who's going to listen this far? Okay, let's see if they do.
So you do get a logo, by the way. Look at Greg; he's got the little
Yeah, he's
circle
got a
thing next
little
to
logo.
his.
Yeah, but that's not. Yes, I got the. Oh, he said I don't see it on my side. I can't see it.
Oh, can you not see the little circle?
You don't see it next to his name?
Circle, but not the logo I gave them.
No, but I think that's a different logo to everybody else, though, isn't it?
I'm on a mobile. He says maybe that's it. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's and the logo changes. 1 month you get a new one after a month, and then 2 months and so forth. So not every month, but I think, and then 6 months in a year. So stick around. It gets even better, Chris.
Yeah. Paul says maybe it's coming by door instead of boat. In that case, Paul, you're absolutely stuffed because Rose doesn't allow anything else on the doors.
There's no room for anything.
It doesn't matter how big it is.
Yeah. Oh, that's a shame. All right. Wow, this is gonna be. So what are we gonna get to? 3, 4, maybe?
It's
experiences this week.
Yeah, we need to push on.
All right. This one's surprised. I've never ever seen this one.
I haven't seen this either.
Oh, what? Right. Gentlemen, I'm appalled. Okay, right.
Oh,
Officially,
you're a Steve.
Yes, well, quite. And I'm appalled.
I'm
My
appalled.
middle name. Yeah. Right. So, both of you, could you just hang your heads in shame then whilst we talk about this, please? I think it's only appropriate. Well done, John. Good. Yeah, excellent. Thank you, fellas. Yeah, it's almost a Blair Witch style. Go and stand in the corner, both of you, while we talk about it. With a dunce hat on, All right, guys. So this is the seminal 1981 Stone Cold slasher classic. That is, oh yeah, John. That is My Bloody Valentine. Bye, gents. Okay, not bye. Bye. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, now how many times have I seen this film? Hundreds, possibly certainly many times. And when I first saw it, I was far too young. And this is one of those movies that when someone says to me as a horror fan, if what films really disturbed you or really sort of freaked you out when you first saw them, and this is one of them, mainly because I was far too young. But boy, oh boy, I've always loved this film, and this is great. And it's a movie about a small town. I mean, it's 1981 slasher, so small town. There had been a mining accident, and there was a mine in the town, a mining accident, and a number of miners were trapped. One of them survived, a chap called Harry Warden. And this is all in the setup, no real spoilers. One of them survives, called Harry Warden, and he survived by chewing on the other miners. And what happens is this happened over Valentine's Day, and the legend goes, therefore, that if the town holds another Valentine's dance, Harry Warden will come back and pay them a visit. And will do so dressed as a miner, and you can see the bottom right corner there with the miner's helmet and the hat. Okay, so miner as in underground, not as in he's quite young.
I was like, all of that dressed as a miner. I'm like, okay,
yeah. Well, yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's got a pacifier,
short pants and a propeller hat.
Yeah, it's not that scary.
little rascal.
Yeah, well, quite. So the town decide to hold a Valentine's dance. Someone comes back, people start getting killed, and it's a classic 80s slasher film. Okay, but what is cool is I've seen this film, as I said, so many times. I was aware dimly and briefly that there was an uncut version out there somewhere, but I'd never seen it. And so this is a 4K. I've imported it from the US. It's a 4K remastered, new edition, Scream edition. I think it is Scream Factory, and it's now with the unrated cut. So now, having seen this, oh boy, did I have fun with this! Because again, being an 80s horror fan and loving gore and guts and everything else, this is about as brutal as 1980s could ever get. And each kill has something new to it that I've never seen before, and it is gory, and it's like each kill is like a Fangoria magazine kind of double page spread. Remember how they used to do those? And you'd have the one picture of a kill, right? Each kill in this is like it has its own Fangoria page to it. It's fantastic. And I know I'm getting excited as I say it, and it's pretty twisted that I am, but boy, was it good. So the film was fantastic. And
you're allowed to be excited on the show, right, Steve?
Yeah, no, I know, but this is kind of a messed up movie to get so excited about.
No worse than me glorifying the crucifixion scene in Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, it was great. Yeah. So the movie now in its uncut form is awesome.
John went to church
now then, and it was shot. It was shot on an absolute shoestring budget, dirt cheap, for no money at all, and so it's always looked a bit like a film shot on a shoestring budget. And I did not know quite what to expect with the 4K disc. So I'm very pleased to say, yeah, well, quite. They've done some real work on this. It looks fantastic. The grain has been kind of really carefully managed. The colors look great. And obviously there's a lot of red in this, not just from the Valentine stuff, but also from the various disembowelings and dismemberments. And it looks fantastic. It's only it's in 5.1, but you wouldn't really know it. DTSMA, you wouldn't really know it. It's all very front focused. Even being up mixed, it doesn't make much difference. But it looks great. So now, how do I recommend it then to someone who's never seen it? Maybe rent it, guys.
Yeah.
John, I think might be worth picking up.
Might be worth
it. It's on Black Friday sale. Get it.
Okay, I'll look at it.
Yeah. But Deej, I don't know, Deej. I think does it go on next year's Halloween list? If you can rent it, rent it. And
go home.
Yeah, well, quite. It is awesome.
But you can rent Kaleidoscape too.
I've probably rented maybe a dozen movies, and every single time I just buy it. Except for I can't remember which one it was.
Evil Dead Rise.
No, I bought that. I should have rented it. No, I'm not even sorry I bought it though. I'm like, I've done that. I mean, we all know there was one. You know what? I've been waiting to do this longtime listeners, everybody listening right now. This is for everybody. So pay attention, everybody. If you know the movie, the first person, you can be in the chat or whatever. The first person to name them, not you, John, because you just
Yeah.
Two hands
My
up.
foot up there too.
name the only movie I've ever returned. First person, the first person,
Oh,
and this is big.
Where do I
This is
vote?
big
Where do we
for all
vote?
listeners.
Come on.
It's a mug. Huh?
Ooh.
Huh?
All right, I can do another one. I like this, but I'll have another one.
Country, I think. Sorry about that, but sorry, Jordan. But yeah, you get a Yeti mug. I'll get it shipped out to you.
Yeah, nice.
First
Yeah,
person.
well, this one,
movie I returned.
yeah, DJ, I think. See, Joseph. ruined
Shut
it
up!
in the chat.
Don't say it's in the chat. Let them see it. You don't need to like. That's not the answer. Go ahead.
But yeah, so I don't know, DJ. I love this movie in a way that is most unnatural, and I know that John will like it because it's kind of John's sort of thing.
Yeah.
But because I'd say I'd be heartbroken, but if you've seen the film, you'd know that that's particularly unpleasant in this movie, because he cuts people's hearts out with a pickaxe. But
Not really cutting, I don't think.
Well, it's chopping.
Airing.
yeah. But because I'd feel bad if someone gets this, buys it, and then goes, it was crap. Because I love this movie.
What about all
Look
my?
at what happened with Evil Dead Rise.
There you go. Look, here we go.
Who got
there
it?
you go.
That didn't take long.
Yeah,
VJ in the chat.
VJM. Nice.
VJM in the chat. Judge Dredd.
Which one?
Yeah, it better be the Stallone one.
Called Dredd.
Oh,
There
just
is
called
one.
Dread.
So yeah, if they had said Dredd, I would have been like,
Not quite. Try again.
yeah. So yeah, Judge Dredd is the only movie that I've ever returned that I bought on Laserdisc, got it home, watched it, and Dave was nice enough to take it back. I was like, oh, and I mean, you can't really find a bigger Stallone fan than me, I don't think. And yeah, it's the only movie I've ever returned.
Well, I don't think you'd return this one necessarily, but oh my god, it was good.
Yeah.
I was so pleased to have this in 4K and looking like this, sounding like this, and in the uncut version. It's great. So yeah, again, anyone, like someone in the chat, I think VJ said there he loves 80s horror. If you like 80s slasher movies, if you're a Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, more about which later, then if you like those kind of movies and you don't mind the kind of cheesy, schlocky nature of them, this one, if you haven't seen it, is a must see, and particularly this version because it's graphic as hell.
There goes my buddy
format.
Joe,
Oh.
giving away more of my money.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's only got one mug to give away.
Joe in the chat format could have been the bonus question. Or hey,
Bankrupt Deej.
Yeah.
oh god,
Yeah, man. So yeah,
No, you're right,
very
Joe.
cool, guys.
That's it. But that's great. Yeah, VJ, get me email me your information, your address, and I'll get that shipped out to you as soon. It takes about like 2 weeks, I think, to get them. So I'll get that out to you right away. But nice job, VJ. Thanks, buddy. That's pretty cool. Remember the good old days, John? Hey, everybody, we're giving something away.
Yeah.
A car.
4 weeks later, we still have it.
Oh, we worked so hard. Yeah. Anything else on my buddy?
Other than it's awesome. I mean, I could do a podcast just on this.
I think you're in the middle of it.
Yeah. Oh, we could start again.
Yeah, exactly.
It's cool. Really cool.
But we never plan these things out. I did not. I mean, I do. I put the notes in a certain order, but I did not expect what you were saying there. I didn't know what you were going to say, but our next one here is, perfect timing. Everything you said, and more about the picture quality in this. The audio, so we're talking about Christine.
Yeah, Christine.
Was it 1983? Obviously a Stephen King story done by, who did this movie?
Oh,
Jeez. I'm going blank here. Welcome,
know.
Princess
I'm
Leia,
going to cheat.
Carrie Fisher. Yeah, please do cheat because I'm going blank here. It's a huge. You'd be like, DJ, you're an idiot.
It's not Brian De Palma, I think, is it? It's not.
No.
It was John Carpenter.
Thank you. See, that's what I'm saying. Like,
I'd forgotten that.
this thank and VJ gets that one, but you're still just getting the same mug. It from the moment you push play on this, if you've seen this movie, it's about a car that's possessed. Okay, and this is like American Graffiti, which just dropped on Kaleidoscape as well, but this is like the horror version of American Graffiti. The cars in this movie look amazing. Everything about this movie, the restoration on this movie is everything that I wanted in The Exorcist and didn't get. And this one here, like the gloss and you guys know how much like I love cars, how much I love painting the cars, the paint on the cars. They looked gorgeous. Every single car in this, the main character, which is the nerdier kid, but his buddy was it Wolfman? Was it Wolfman in Top Gun? A year later or 2 years later, he's the one that couldn't make it back to the ship at the opening of Top Gun. He didn't get to go to it wasn't Wolfman, it was somebody else, what his call sign was, but he didn't get to go to Top Gun. Remember, he was the reason, but he's one of the characters. He's like the main guy in this one, and it's his buddy that owns Christine. This absolutely the entire time on this home theater experience was amazing for this. The picture was, like I said, the entire time you're watching the textures inside the cars, the textures on the people, the echoes. There's this one scene where they kind of have like back when you could bring a knife to school and you didn't end up in jail. That just got sent to the principal's office, but then you're at the local football game the next night. Nowadays it's on the news, and yeah, so it was a different time back then. John, remember that? I actually had a butterfly knife in high school that
I did too.
and I used to use in class. And I remember Mr. Radford threatening to take it away from me. Put that away, Briggs, or I'll take that away from you. A butterfly knife.
Yeah.
Probably like a 6-inch blade on it. Just because it was fun. I don't think you can do that now. I don't know.
No.
Steve, we have our resident.
Yeah, well, over here, if you get caught a second time with a knife, you're looking at 6 months in prison as a mandatory minimum.
For a
And
kid?
that would, it does not matter about your age. Your age, it's irrelevant. So you would go to the starting point is prison unless there are exceptional circumstances. Otherwise, it's prison.
Is there a
So, yeah.
certain length of blade that qualifies, or any knife?
It's a long story in terms of offensive.
Sorry, I
between
didn't
an
mean to
offensive
bring
weapon
that-
and
yeah.
offensive per se, and what's been made or adapted as a weapon. I can start a law lecture if you want, John.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
all right. That's all right.
You know,
Yeah.
I teach this stuff.
We need to move on.
Yeah. So, yeah, but anyways, aside from that, I mean, the time period it's very well done. And the one thing, the story in this, Jen and I had a great discussion at the end of it that I was kind of left. It's not a spoiler. The one thing that bothered me by the end of it was the storytelling in this, and maybe I can't remember if Stephen King liked this version or not, but they didn't do a good job of setting the universe and people understanding whether this was possible or not. Okay. So you have a car that is possessed and it's literally killing people. And it was so ambiguous over whether, like, there's this one scene where a cop comes up to the kid and he's telling him, and he's like, all right, I'll give it away. He goes, you have the receipts for the paint? Because the car got fixed really fast. And the kid goes, I painted it. And he goes, you got the receipts for the paint? And I'm sitting there going, you see, it's fixed. I don't know. He goes, no, I lost them. Oh, that's convenient. No, it's not convenient. The car's fixed. What do you mean? It's like, I don't need, you know what I mean? The evidence of the car being fixed. Now, like, what are you saying as a cop there where you go like, I think, but he never said like he thought it was possessed. He never said like, what are you insinuating? What do you suspect happened if he didn't fix the car? Right. And the kid had see it. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty good because the kid has a reason. And he's like, he keeps telling the cop, he gives him answers, but the cop never says what he really suspects. So they didn't set the universe like people do suspect that cars could be possessed because nobody would in their right mind would go, well, the car did it itself. Right. So they never set that. But like, and I know you guys didn't like this one, but at least in the movie Casper, they set the universe very quickly that everybody does believe in ghosts.
The rules. Yeah. The rules of the universe. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And even a character in Casper, he didn't believe in ghosts. So it's like the world does, and they show you by some cameos and stuff. So you understand the universe you're in there. In Christine, they never set that. It's still a blast to watch. I absolutely love the movie. I'm so glad I did it. We were both like, we should do this again next year because it did. It looked gorgeous. The home theater experience was great. But there was that one part that, and I think that is kind of a fun thing by the time you get to it. And when you see some of these scenes, you're like, what are you insinuating? I don't get it. It's like, I'm, and he even said, are you allowed? I'm allowed to fix my car, aren't I? It's like, it was just pretty funny, but yeah, definitely great. Have you seen this, guys? Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Long
Not for a
time
long
ago,
time.
but
yeah,
it's a couple times.
Have you seen the 4K, Steve?
No, well, that's funny enough. I was just looking at Jordan just popped up in the chat saying it seems crazy that Christine still hasn't been released on 4K disc in the UK. Okay. I think the last time I owned it would have been on DVD. I've never owned the Blu-ray. I would pick up a 4K disc, especially now what you said about it, but I would have bought it anyway.
It's gorgeous
because it's one of those films. It's fun to watch again once a format at least, and it's a good movie. It is very similar to Carrie. Again, it's a teenage response to, bullying and being treated poorly and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's of a type, and of course the ultimate version of this was Maximum Overdrive. Is that 86, 85, 86 with the Green Goblin on the truck.
Yep.
When you got lawnmowers killing people and vending machines killing people and kind of silly stuff like that. Another Stephen King film or short story anyway. And he's in that, isn't he? He pops up as a priest in that.
I didn't see him in this one, but I do remember that back in the day, like he did do cameos in his. I thought, was he in Pet Cemetery too? I think well, not two.
I think I think he pops up in that. Yeah, but yeah. So and thanks to Joe in the chat, Joseph Herzl saying about Carrie was De Palma. I knew that De Palma was in this somewhere. There you go.
Yeah.
So. But there we go. Very cool. It is a good movie. I would pick it up. As I said, if they do release it here, who's it by? Who's the studio? Deej, did you notice who?
Is it Sony?
Is it MGM or Sony? Or
I think it's Sony, if I remember right. I do think it was Sony. It is that good, and I think that's why I remembered. I'm like, this got to be Sony disc, and it is. I watched it on Kaleidoscape, of course. You see the image, but the other thing is this is 1983. All right. And the restoration on this looks so good, but the scenes when the car goes to fix itself, how well is that going to hold up? It looks good. It looks really good. Like the bumpers and stuff. I was like, oh my God, did they redo this? And did they like go back and use some of like Cameron's stuff from T2 with the chrome and everything? Like, did they use the same? Did they redo it for this? I don't know. It looks that good that you'd think it would be like kind of wonky, and you'd be like, that ain't gonna work very well. It's like it looked really good, and it sounded good too. The way they use this, because this is in Atmos. It's in 4K.
Oh, nice.
Atmos. The full. I think this was the one. As a matter of fact, was this one of them that we watched and then we went to House of Usher and it was the week before or something like that, but because I was supposed to do this one last week, but yeah, it's really, really good. Definitely check this one out if you get the opportunity. So
it is definitely a movie for car paint enthusiasts because the way it's red and the deep red of the 1950s vehicle. Cherry red, isn't it?
It's cherry red. Oh yeah, it's cherry red, and it's like even like the opening scene on the line. It's the only red car. right? So it's like they're all just like your normal drab colors. There might have been a green in there, but they're black and gray or whatever. And then that one red car. And then after that, it's like even like you see it later and it's all ruined, right? It's been years and years because they jump at the time jump is like what 20, 30 years later, and it is ruined. Like the seats are ripped, it's dirty, it's drab, and so that plays really well. And then as the kid is restoring it, you're just like, oh my God. And there, I mean, that's the other part. There's no way a kid's restoring this. I don't care where you work. It's like the money it would have taken even in the 80s to do this. And like, I know guys that can bend steel and stuff, and that's what they do for a living, like alongside me. I'm like, you ain't fixing this, but it looks so good.
So you're okay with the car possessed and that can control itself and all that stuff, but it's the bending of the bumper that you've got a problem with.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you know why? Because you know why? No, it makes my job miserable because people are like, come on, you can't fix that. Come on, just do your magic. Come on, you can't. I can't fix that. There's no way to fix that. And they're like, come on, just do your magic. It's not magic. I can't. I have to fix it. It's like
magic.
Yeah, I get that all the time from my customers. They'll be like, just do your thing. Just make it look better. And then I'll make it look better. And the thing was so banged up to begin with, and I do the best I can with it. And they go, they're not going to like that. That's what I was trying to tell you. It needs to be replaced. Now I got to send it to the body shop. I don't think we can pay you for this. Oh, you're paying me. I told you I didn't want to do it. But that's another.
So Christine was like therapy. That's what we're trying to say.
Yeah. Oh my God. I see that. Like, I'm sorry. That's a whole other tangent. But the stupid ads on social media that people do about like, get this wax. It takes the scratches right away. No, it doesn't. No.
Yeah. No.
And then they're like, can you just use that wax? Why didn't you buy the wax and do it? Well, it didn't work for me. What the hell do you think I do? You know,
your magic.
Yeah, exactly. Your magic. All right. Let's get to something a little bit more fun.
Oh, yeah. Now, is this, I don't know, John, is this horror? Is it?
Steve, we did this in rehearsal. That was my line. I've been waiting all week for this.
Sorry.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Why didn't it come up? There we go. All right.
I don't know. Why didn't it come up?
I don't know. There it is.
All right. So this was Gremlins, 4K UHD disc, DTS Master Audio 5.1. So this also I just picked up. Yeah, I don't know if this is a Halloween. Is this a horror movie? I don't know.
It's Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, it's as much of a Christmas movie as Die Hard, so I guess it qualifies.
Don't open that can of worms, John. Don't go there.
Almost
yeah,
one time a year.
This is one of those movies that I have not seen probably since the late 1980s. It ran on repeat on HBO in 84, 85 when it came out, and I've watched it a bunch of times. Haven't really seen it since. So the disc itself, I thought was excellent. Again, everything, this is a early 80s movie, so everything you guys just said about Christine and My Bloody Valentine, it all applies here too. I thought they did a great job with the picture quality here. The sound, again, being upmixed was, it was good. I didn't notice a lot of overhead things happening here. It was sort of front heavy, I guess, but it was upmixed, so you did get a little bit of stuff in the other speakers. I might let you guys down a bit, I feel, because this is a movie that I think should have stayed in 1984. I did not enjoy this nearly as much as I thought that I would. I'm sorry, Steve. What's that?
You're not 14 anymore.
I know. I just found it a bit empty. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Like, it just... There's no real story here. Again, we've all seen it, right? So I can't believe anybody hasn't seen this movie. But yeah, I don't know. I just didn't have as much fun with this as I thought that I would. I thought it looked really, really good. They did a great job with it. I thought the sound, like I said, I thought the sound was good. I'm sorry, Steve, but yeah, I don't know. I didn't have I don't know when I'll watch this again. I'm glad I bought it. You know, I got it for $10 from Best Buy, so I'll never be sorry that I bought it. But I don't know when I'll watch this again. And for those that say they love it, when was the last time you watched it?
Jordan in the chat.
I know, but when was the last time you watched it? I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I just didn't have nearly as much fun with it as I thought that I would. But
what did Lydia think? Did she watch it with you, or did you just?
She watched it with me. She didn't really comment. I mean, I don't know that she felt the same way or any different than I did. We don't really discuss our movies after we watch them. We just roll right into the next one.
Night then.
So I don't know. We didn't really talk about it. But yeah, I don't know. That's my thoughts on it anyways. Steve, care to tell me why I'm wrong, Steve?
Yeah. Well, you're not wrong. You're just not right.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
You have a right to having a wrong opinion, John.
That's right. Hey,
that's it. Yeah.
I'm happy to be proven wrong, but
no, man, no. I have an emotional reaction to this movie. I love this film, but because it takes me back to being a little kid again. 84, wasn't it?
84,
and I saw this in the cinema with my mum, and we went through a phase for quite a long time of every weekend going to see a movie in a local kind of cinema, and this was one of them. And this is the movie. I had the sticker book. I had the Viewmaster thing. I had the everything Gremlins when it came out, and I loved it when I saw it.
It started 2
I've
months
seen
ago.
it. Yeah, I haven't seen it quite that recently,
2
but
months ago. So
yeah, I have seen it within the last year though.
Okay.
With someone age appropriate who enjoyed it, but not as much as I did. And so I have an emotional connection to this movie, and I've seen it many times, and I've got the 4K disc and watched it within the last year, as I say.
Okay.
As I say, with someone who did enjoy it, but like I said, I was having even more fun. Every frame of this is nostalgia heaven to me. Right. And so I get, John, you've got the sensible common sense reaction to it, which is completely right. Whereas my reaction is based in nostalgia and childhood and everything else. Did you notice that the square that they walk around is the same one for Back to the Future? It's exactly the same one.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, it's the same square, the same clock tower. It's all there. The cinema's still there. It's whatever. It's something Falls, isn't it? I can't remember the name of the place, but it's the same. Yeah, it's the same place as Back to the Future. It's the same backlot. But yeah, no, I love this movie, and this is the best version of it. It's not a stunningly amazing disc, but it is a good one.
It is good.
The snow at the beginning looks really nice. Even there's quite a bad matte painting, I think, from one of the longer shots. Right. But even that still looks good. And because of course they were using puppetry rather than CG, and it's all in camera, so all of that still has a texture to it that is, when the gremlin goes into the microwave, it's still nice and icky and vile, and it's still all kind of, it's got that texture. And the same with Spike at the end as well, when he's all bubbling and everything else. That still looks gross in the best way.
Right.
So like I said, so John, you've got the proper sort of adult view of it, and I get that. But I've just got this kid in me that is like, it's Gremlins, and remember this, and
I gotta let him be a secret. John was never a kid.
Oh,
I wasn't.
He was always. You've always been that very serious-minded, like. Not that he didn't have fun. God knows.
I was gonna say I had some.
Oh yeah, it was all when we became adults.
I had some pretty immature moments. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, but you had to be called. We had to get to a part where we were supposed to be mature.
Right.
But yeah, you're like Jen in that way, very serious and but you can have fun, and I could see why you wouldn't. Like, I was waiting this one. We tried to do this one with the kids for years and years, and it was at Christmas time, and it just never came up. So we never actually got to watch it with our kids. But this year, Jen and I were like, okay, we're gonna try and keep this thing going trying she's trying to get me into the theater as much as she can so that I can take a break from everything we're doing. But yeah, definitely putting this one on the list for this year. So I wouldn't be surprised if I haven't seen this one in probably.
Yeah, like I said, it had been a long time for me.
But it is. I know exactly what you're saying, John. It's kind of like this. There's not much of a story there. It's just everything Steve said is correct. It's more like, we're gonna take some stuffed animals, turn them into something else, and make them icky, and that's the story, really. And it's like Joe said in the chat, I can't find where it was, and he's like, can't get past that. Don't feed them after midnight. And he's like, so when did that?
We talked about that. We talked about that.
Right. Well, what time zone are we in, right? Like midnight when?
Yeah, exactly.
Does daylight savings time play into this at all?
Yeah, exactly. But don't feed them after midnight. Well, everything's after midnight. It's
That's
like
true too.
the whole day
Every day.
So
Every day is after midnight.
when does the clock start? They never said that. So it's like, I get it. But when you were a kid, you didn't care. And like Steve said, it's like when we were 14 when this came out. And I probably saw this as a date, with a date. And we're like, all right, we'll go to Friendly's afterwards and we'll talk about
get some ice cream.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, so.
It's the guys in chat are saying it's Hill Valley. That's from Back to the Future.
Valley.
It's Kingston Falls in Gremlins. I've just checked. I knew it was something Falls. Yeah, and so yeah, but it's the same place. So it's exact, and they haven't tried to hide it either. It is blatantly the same. And of course, if we think about it, they would have shot them around the same time. So they must have, because Back to the Future 1 and Gremlins, they must have been shooting almost back to back.
Yeah, Back to the Future came out in 84, right?
Yeah,
and this came out in 84. I don't remember what year.
Exactly. So they'd have been shot in 83.
Yeah.
So so it must have been around about the same time. But yeah, this movie, I love this film. And but like I say, John, you're absolutely.
Well, we all have those movies, right? That we loved as kids and still love as adults, even though they're not super great or whatever. So, I mean,
there we go.
Nice.
Cool. It showed up again. So, Chris,
and he's got the same symbol next to his name.
That's still Chris. It's the same member. That's the
because it was Greg earlier.
No, it was Greg earlier. And now it's Chris. Yeah, Greg. Yeah, it was Greg earlier.
Greg got us. Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was earlier, too.
Yeah.
I thought
we've only got We've only got two members. You can't confuse them already.
Yeah, I know.
I can.
Neither of them is John Brock.
Yeah.
We just called out John Brock. You can't, but do you see how this is why I can't that's why I'm like I can't think straight. I'm like, and I get nervous. Like I'm like, you'll hear more about this on the 24-hour show, I'm sure. I'll tell you all about the time I made a fool of myself in front of Don Sweeney, who's the GM of the Boston Bruins. If I haven't told that one on the show before. Absolute fool. What a donkey I am. But yes, thank you, Chris. I was like, I thought it was the same one. I'm like, what? I'm like, does YouTube just keep saying you've got one? The front. But thank you, Chris. But Chris did ask. Did I remember that right?
He did ask, yes.
Okay, so Chris asked. I thought that was Chris, and he found the answer. All right.
No.
So, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm trying to do too many things at once here, and I got gremlins in my head. Oh, for the love. All right. We
don't
ready?
eat after midnight with the 24-hour show, then, Deej.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. I can't wait for that. Yeah. What do I do then? Do I turn into a pumpkin? Do I go?
Yeah. Well, let's just hope the air conditioning isn't leaking. Otherwise, there'll be lots of you.
My air conditioner actually did. A while ago,
It went right over his head, Steve. He didn't get it.
Yeah.
No. All right.
They'll be popping off your back left and right.
Yeah.
That's how he's going to get through the 24 hours. He's going to craftily switch them around.
Exactly. There's going to be a bunch of them.
Yeah. A bunch of DJs. I can see it now.
You guys are still I need an alibi. Like I said this in the patron Zoom call. I kept saying, I'm like, do people think I can't do this?
No.
Oh no,
We know
we
you
just
could do it.
yeah.
You're like,
No.
If anybody could talk for 24 hours, it's you.
yeah, I don't even need guests.
I have no doubt that you could do it.
Jen just wants this room to be a little more soundproof so she doesn't have to hear me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like if everybody keeps trying to help me come up with ways that I could stop. Maybe they mean in the immediate conversation I'm having with them, but it's like I don't know. But yeah, I don't think that's going to be an issue. But yes, Chris, new member, thank you. And let's see. All right, next up, Steve, you ready?
Yeah.
Steve are like in sync. I don't know how we're doing this. We don't do
Well, it's
it
almost like somebody put the notes together in a certain order.
Yeah. Spooky.
notes together from what we do privately,
Right.
on our own. And I didn't mean that the way it sounded, but here we go.
All righty. So a couple of weeks ago, it was Friday the 13th.
It was. It should have been in last
and-
week's show, but we pushed them.
Yeah, that's okay. And as we are wont to do, and I certainly as I am, any excuse to watch a Friday the 13th film is a good excuse to me. And this is the 2009 Friday the 13th remake. For those looking on YouTube, that's not a screenshot of the menu. Bizarrely, the Blu-ray, and it is just the Blu-ray that I watched, does not have a menu easily accessible. And so what I normally do then is take a picture of the title when it comes up on the screen. But it was such a crap one that it was a waste of time taking a picture of that. So I thought, you know what, I'll just get a poster off the internet, and that's what I've done. So this is the Blu-ray 1080p DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 upmixed to Neural X. Have either of you seen this?
Not this version, no.
No. Okay. So I am a massive Friday the 13th fan. Again, 80s slasher movies. It's in my wheelhouse, in my DNA. And I love the Friday the 13th movies. Some more than others, I think it's fair to say. And if you're asking, and you're not, but I'll tell you anyway, my favorite one is part 6, which is Jason Lives. I absolutely love that. But I like them all for different reasons and to varying degrees. So this one is one though that was much maligned. Most people really don't like this. The 2009 remake was lambasted when it came out for Friday the 13th fans saying, well, it's just not our Jason, whatever that means. And then you've got kind of more modern horror fans saying, oh, it's such a throwback to the 80s slashers. So it kind of fell between two stools. And unfortunately, since this, it's been the Friday the 13th movies have been wrapped up in legal trouble. So we haven't had any more, which to me is a huge shame. So, but this movie, I actually really like this film.
Ripping them to their hard drive, and is that what happened?
What was that? Oh, is it legal trouble? Not that bad. Yeah, I reckon I could untangle that legal trouble.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
half an hour.
They put them all on a PD.
Yeah, done. Yeah. So it's yeah. Oh, that was it. There we go. But I actually like this film. I think this film's quite good. It's very brutal, so it's got kind of more brutal kind of kills of the modern age, mixed with the sort of the more old-fashioned story. Well on Jordan. Jordan's saying he thinks the 2009 remake is pretty good. I do have a soft spot for this. It's well done. I think the intention was there to make something interesting to a wider audience. So I really like it. In terms of the home theater, the audio, the video first, it is a bit dated already. And it's only 2009. It is at times quite soft. There's not a lot of detail in the facial textures, which I was kind of expecting. And at times there is black crush as well. So the video's okay, but it's not brilliant and not what we're used to with 4K. That is for sure. I'd love a 4K version of this. Not that I think we'll ever get it, but it would be nice if we did. So the video's okay, but the audio is decent. And upmixes really nicely. So you've got kinds of, Jason in this is not a kind of in the shadows killer. In this, he's just a force of nature. He's a lumbering Hulk in this, not literally. It's not great. But he does kind of, he thuds about. And so you could hear that in the bass. So when he's walking with purpose, the subs are nicely sort of pumping with him. And you get kind of movement all around. There's all kinds of stuff in there. Again, you got storms and everything else. So as a movie, I like it and I enjoy it. And as a home theater experience, it is solid. It's not brilliant. Don't rush to it. There are other movies to see first. But it is good. And if you've got it and you haven't seen it for a while, give it a watch. And you guys, I don't know if I would necessarily recommend you pick it up. I'm sure it would be a couple of bucks now, if that. So it might be worth a rent or picking up. But if you haven't seen it for a while and you've got it, dig it out again and give it another watch, or wait till the next Friday the 13th. I mean, it's like the law. So there we go. Yeah. All right. Now talking of Friday the 13th, Deej.
Wow, look at you.
What a segue.
That was a nice segue. Unfortunately, I can't because I like to have the images come down and then back up so that I can do this. But it's, nice segue. Very, very well done. So here we go. VJ in the chat, VJM, I'm sorry. He's like, the original movie is better. And I said, wait for it. There you go. Friday the 13th this is 81, correct? Is that right?
Yeah, 80, 81, 80, 80, I think.
Uncut,
yeah.
4K, HDR, DTS, I think it was 5.1? I can't remember. I'm sorry.
You wrote 5.1.
Okay, that's what it is in the notes. Okay.
You tell him, John.
I forget what I can't see my notes.
Yeah, I'm just reading the notes.
Yeah, I can't see it. I don't have the notes in front of me. I just have the images. So, this one here, the audio wasn't anything that it wasn't bad. It was I thought it was really good for the movie, for an up mix from that time period, because it clearly wasn't in 5.1 back then. I thought it was well done, but there wasn't a lot of experiences that Jen and I were like, oh my God, that was amazing. I mean, you could hear, there was one scene. Oh, geez. I wish I had the time. I didn't take any timestamps of this or anything, but there was one scene and you guys probably know the scene, but somebody's yelling from outside the cabin and it's on the right side of the room. Jen happens to be sitting on that side and she was creeped the blank out. She was like, nope, stop, because it kept doing it. It's like the person, I forget what they say. Do you remember, Steve? Do you remember the scene I'm talking about?
I'm not 100% sure, Deej. I mean, I've seen it loads of times, but I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not 100%.
The girl
I don't
in
want to lie.
the cabin, and somebody outside's like, "Help me!" I think it was like, "Help me!" And they're
a flashback sequence where they're trying to do that.
No. And it's outside the cabin, and but it did sound like it was, and it was like Jen was like, and that on that side, it was even creepier because on that side is like our foundation, right? So it wasn't like the other side. It's like sometimes we'll have special effects or some sound will sound like it's coming from outside a door, but that's where we have that door. So you'll be like, oh, that's kind of cool. It sounds like they're in the other room, right? This is a foundation. And she knows like it goes into the ground. So she's like, oh, that's like somebody's in the ground, like asking for help. And she was creeped out. And they did a really good job of this particular scene where it's like, it didn't sound like it was coming from where the speaker is. It sounded like it was a little further down the room and further away. And of course we're up mixing this as well. So, and for our room, like the main seating position gets the best of everything, of the best sound and everything. For her to even have that where she was sitting, she was like, she could tell like, oh my God, that's just creepy. And it was really good. So there was like little, and then ambient sounds like, the whistling and the wind and all of that, the lightning and the 4K HDR, the scary parts, the jump scares, really, really good. It just, I thought we hadn't seen this in forever. And it's like, I knew the story. I know the ending and stuff. She had forgotten the ending. She had forgotten the vibe, the big jump scare and everything. She's like, and I was kind of like looking at the screen, but I corner of my eye, like, this is going to be good. So yeah, it's definitely worth owning if you're a home theater fan. I mean, if you're a horror fan of the genre. These are not my favorite movies. It's like, it has to be a Friday the 13th in October to get me to go and see it. I respect them. I understand what they did. One of the things Jen and I did talk about, where this came out, like you said, in 1980, these kids are like walking through the woods and you're like, and nowadays you're like, what are you doing? It's like, why are you walking through the woods? There's a killer out there. You're like, you think this.
Why don't we get in the running car?
Yeah, exactly. About it now, right? No, let's go to that shed with all the shots.
Yeah.
But I said, one of the things I said to Jen is, and Steve, I couldn't wait to ask you, this is one of the first movies to make you think that. Because wasn't it like before this movie, there weren't a lot of slasher films that had you petrified to go into the woods. Like Jaws was making you afraid to go in the water. Anybody that grew up after this was like, I'm not going in the woods at night. I mean, I watch my dogs run into the woods in the middle of the night. And you're like, aren't you afraid? And they're like, no, because you know what?
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen the movie. Dogs don't see the movies, right? So it's our imaginations. And were there a lot of slasher films before this one that would have
Halloween?
Mine?
Halloween, of course, was that, but obviously not in the woods.
But time period, right?
Yeah, that's the grandfather of the slasher genre. I mean, Halloween comes first. This was a bit of a knockoff of it. Bearing in mind, Halloween had been the most successful independently made film of all time, before this. So of course they were like, let's do something like that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I know I talk about being at camp. Bear in mind, I love these movies growing up with them. So when I was at camp in Boston in '98, up in Boxford, north of Massachusetts, before camp opened, all the counselors were there. And so they hadn't set everything up. None of the kids were there yet. And so we went for a walk in the woods and we found a cabin. And of course, I then found the tannoy, the PA system. And I got into the thing and I was on there going, and it was going throughout the camp. It was great.
Yeah.
Boy, was I freaking out, the campers and the counselors. So, it was just, this is a great movie. I would buy this version, but I'm hoping beyond hope that there will be a 4K version of all of them, that they'll do a box set like they've done several times. So I've got the metal tin version of all of them on Blu-ray. And I'm just hoping that if I wait long enough, they'll do them all in 4K. So that's what I'm sort of waiting for. But it's good to know it's a decent version. That's good to know. And uncut too, which I don't think I've ever seen. So great.
I don't know what the difference is. Like I said, I barely I remember the movie, but I'm like, the detail that you get is nice. It's not super like detailed HDR. I thought Christine was better, but the black levels are really deep. But it's more like a high contrast. It goes from the really dark scenes to right to the, to where the lighting is and stuff. Kevin Bacon, Jen forgot he was in it.
He's a pain in the neck in this.
Yeah, he is.
He gets the point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like so. But yeah, really good. And I mean, all the respect for what these movies did back then and to where we are today. And I think it still does hold up pretty well, especially if you haven't seen it in a while. But yeah, it is that slasher film and just and an interesting story, for the first one that you were like,
but it doesn't make much sense. None of the stuff that follows makes any sense either, really. But there's there's no through line to it. You've just got to go with it.
yeah, exactly. So, all right. We're probably. Oh, I had another image from that. This is the image from the diner, which I showed off.
Really nice.
Yeah, I thought this showed off the 4K really well, and even on YouTube, it's like it looks okay, but you could see the neon in the diner, and then the lighting coming through the window. When you see it on your screen, like. I know what you guys are seeing there, but those windows all look blown out. Even on my computer, I could see more detail in there, especially in that front door. The door on that window you can see, and then the detail in the Jeep and the car and stuff. It's in the reflection on the ground. It did look really, really nice. So, but yeah, I saved that one too. Forgot to show that. So,
get on the Paramount and New Line. Give us our box set. That's what I want.
Yeah, we'll probably wrap up with this last one of John's here, and then we'll push ours, Steve, to the next week.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, that'll be the Anthony Hopkins one. We'll do that next time. Then that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
In case anyone's wondering of a continuity error, when I mentioned earlier we had 2 Hopkins movies. We'll get letters. Get complaints.
Yeah, we'll get letters. All right, let's go, John. We go with
All right. So The Shining, the original 1980s version,
Yeah.
also on 4K UHD DTS 5.1. So, again, the movie's the movie. I'm assuming we've all seen this movie, right? And it's been a long time for me, but it's a classic. I mean, this is such a great film. And I really, really enjoyed it, having not seen it like I said, in a long time. As far as the disc itself goes, I thought this was gorgeous. I thought the restoration on this disc was stunning. Like, I did not see this in the theaters. Back, I think came out in 1980. I was 10. Nobody was taking me to go see this in the theaters. So I've never seen this movie look like this. Again, like DJ mentioned, the last time I saw this was probably on a 24-inch TV or 27-inch TV. But yeah, it was stunning. Like the scene at the very end where they find him sitting outside the hedge maze, or in the middle of the hedge maze, and he's frozen and just frozen boogers on his nose. I mean, it looked so good. Like, it was like,
I couldn't say that good, but yeah, I get it.
But I mean, it just looks so good. I mean, the close-ups, all the close-ups of Nicholson here. Shelley Duvall.
Yeah.
Like the scenes. Again, we've all seen the scenes, but like where he's breaking through the bathroom door and like she's there with the knife, and I mean, they just looked so good.
Did you see that on Twitter? Somebody just admitted on Twitter that, or a younger, person, but they were like, I didn't know that was from Johnny Carson from The Tonight Show.
Oh yeah.
Like, they thought that was just a line.
Well, anybody that's not our age wouldn't know that, right?
Yeah.
And supposedly that was ad-libbed. I guess Kubrick wasn't familiar even, which again, I don't know how anybody could have not been familiar with the Carson show back then, but I guess wasn't super familiar with that line and didn't want it to be there. And this was famously very, very troubled in the production. But yeah, that line almost didn't make it. I think Nicholson had to fight pretty hard to keep that in.
Yeah.
And now it's like synonymous with the movie. But but yeah, just the audio, I didn't, again, it didn't do anything spectacular for me. It was upmixed, and it was there. It also felt very front focused. I didn't notice a lot of overheads or surround stuff happening here. But you just get lost in the picture. I mean, the blood coming out of the elevators, and of course it doesn't look like blood, but I mean, it is so red. I mean, it looked fantastic. The carpets when Danny's riding this little big wheel or whatever it is, just pop right off the screen. It looks fantastic. So again, if you don't own this disc, you definitely need to pick it up. And then again, it's a classic. I mean, this is a classic movie. So, yeah.
This was one of those movies. Remember I said last week about the list of movies that I hadn't seen, and that and The Exorcist was one of those. Until last year, this was one of them. And I didn't, actually might have been the year before, and I just had never seen it, but I knew all about Red Rum, and I knew, because I'd read the book, knew about Red Rum, and I knew about, all the various bits and pieces. So the first time I saw it was in 4K, and I agree 100%. Absolutely beautiful, from the opening shots of the mountains and the forests as they're driving towards the Overlook Hotel. I assume that wasn't you and Jen Deej. I'm assuming that was from the movie. I'm just checking,
It's drone footage.
And, perhaps we should ask Deej if the guy's still there, still frozen. That's what we really want to know. And so it looked and sounded amazing. I loved seeing this. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
I'll see it lots more times as well. But what a great way to see it for the first time. So it's so good. And again, everyone's saying in the chat what a must-own disc it is.
Yeah.
So great.
Yeah, it's. I think it's one that deserves an audio remastering, an upgrade. Whether they just do a 5.1 remaster or like a true remaster, or they go the full like Atmos or DTSX, like they did with Psycho. And you can still do it and have it come out tasteful, because I think this movie lends itself to the more detail you can put into this with the score. which is so important, and
Right.
the sounds of the movie would be so important. Of like there would be so much that they could add to the experience that you wouldn't, that like they're saying in the chat. It's like VJ saying, it was mono when it was released,
Right.
and because they didn't have this technology, right?
Right.
And like I think Psycho was mono when it was released, right? It definitely wasn't in a surround format, and now you get it in DTSX, and you're like, seriously, DTSX on Psycho? But when you hear it, you're like, holy crap. It just adds so much more tension to the movie. So I think maybe someday that's something we'll get, and I'm down for that. I'm like,
Oh, for sure. I'd
take
buy
my
it
money.
again. Yeah.
Right?
Definitely buy it
You're
again.
like, same 4K image, but we did this with the sound. Be like, okay,
Yeah.
Can I buy it in a steelbook too? Yeah, and so yeah, it's
So John, tell me this: is it Doctor Sleep for next week then?
I haven't picked that up yet. But yeah, I was thinking about it. I don't own that in 4K.
If you want another demo,
I've seen
essentially
it,
audio disc. I mean, for the Atmos on that is.
but I've heard
bananas.
I've heard the disc is awesome.
Yeah, I mean that'll be really
some
really
guy did a whole show on it.
exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah. And I saw the disc way after that too, because I had it, but of course I hadn't
really?
seen The Shining, so I wanted to see that first.
Oh, that's right.
So
yeah.
which is why I kind of went back and got it. But yeah, I mean that's an awesome disc, John. So and again, I'm sure that's a really decent.
Oh,
price.
yeah, it's definitely on my list.
Yeah.
Like I said, I can just only buy so many movies per week. So
That's a
I
rare
bought like
example.
10 movies in the last 2 weeks. So.
Yeah, man, there's some bloody YouTube show that keeps.
I know that just keeps making me buy movies.
outrageous. It's it's a rare example, Doctor Sleep, of a horror epic.
Yeah.
Very rare, and yet boy is it good, and actually quite hard to watch at times, but in a way that it's intended to be, not in a not a good movie kind of way.
Right.
Yeah.
There's some things that happen in that are deeply uncomfortable.
Yeah, I thought I was very surprised when I saw that for the first time, and I was like, wow, like not only the home theater experience, that didn't really surprise me because we get that all the time.
Ka-ching. Yeah, if only we made commission off of the movies I buy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why we don't.
Yeah.
The exact reason that Steve said earlier, where he recommends, I don't know if I can talk about this one. You'd feel awful if you liked it, but you weren't sure other people. So, but yeah, it's the Dr. Sleep is just such a great creative way to do a sequel and be entertaining, but still tied in. And I was very, very surprised at how much I enjoyed the story in that one. And it also helps that Obi-Wan's in it too. So
It's what?
it helps that Obi-Wan is in it too.
Well, and Rebecca Ferguson doesn't hurt either.
Yeah,
So.
Yeah, it might change your view of her after this, though.
Oh, I've seen it.
You
I've
see the
seen the
stuff
movie.
you have seen. Oh, sorry.
I've seen the movie. Yeah, I just haven't.
sorry.
I just don't
Okay.
own it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the movie. I just haven't picked up the disc yet. But I've heard it. Like I said, I've heard it's an excellent transfer.
I like how Steve puts out the spoiler, then finds out he's seen it, and then apologizes.
Yeah.
She's bad. I mean,
Yeah.
that's all right. It's not a
but you
spoiler, is
usually
it?
keep that to yourself, but you don't apologize. You be like, "Oh, I've seen it. Oh, I'm sorry."
Well, look, I didn't know that people didn't know Vader was Luke's dad.
Right.
Not my fault.
You go,
I didn't know Patrick Stewart was in this.
he was in the suit. He's Stormtrooper
Don't go
number
there.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dear, oh dear.
oh
And
my
is
God.
Bruce Willis alive at the end of Sixth Sense or not? Just anyway, well, we'll find. Gonna ruin one. Ruin them all.
Gonna ruin something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rosebud.
Yeah.
Wasn't alive at the beginning.
Ruin it all.
Yeah.
Burn the
Throw
house
everything
down.
under the bus. Tune in next week for the ending.
Yeah, for the ending of.
All the other films.
He choose.
Yeah.
What did Sophie choose?
Oh, all right. That should wrap it up. Look at that, Steve. We're getting you out pretty much on time.
Yeah.
We can get you to bed because you got a busy day tomorrow. Thank you everybody for participating, watching, playing along in the chat. That was a blast. And yeah, we got everybody in the chat. Chat was going hot and heavy for a little while there. We had every week our numbers are going up on viewers per, like our peak number is growing. So thank you guys for that, because people are paying attention to you guys chatting, and like I've said before, the only way we grow is through you guys, because the three of us are out of friends. So
Yeah, I don't have anybody else that can sign up.
I can't keep telling people, and it's like when we hit the 1,000th follower, it was my daughter. And she'd been holding on to that on YouTube. She was like, I'll be the 1,000th follower. And she sent right after we hit it. I was like, oh my God, I saw it. And then she sent me a screen grab of that she did it. And I was like, oh, thank you. Wait a minute. Why weren't you following me all along?
Right.
What the hell?
Well, because she listened, then she unfollowed.
Yeah, exactly.
What was her name again, DJ? Actually,
Steve called her a trench or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't do that again. I got buried the last time.
I know.
Yeah.
This time I'll get like
we dug
cremated.
the hole. She dug the hole. So
Yeah.
But yeah, so thank you everybody. And again, if you've listened and watched this far along, please go subscribe on YouTube. That would be great. Or subscribe wherever you're listening and watching. That would be really nice. Really appreciate that. Patreon supporters, we have a Zoom meeting tomorrow night, Wednesday the 25th. And then some stuff coming up next week in the 24-hour show for everybody. Let me know if you're interested in joining me. That it will be video and audio as well. You can always block yourself if you don't want. I mean, you don't have to have an image up there. You could do. Let me see if I can do it here. Yeah, stop cam. So you'd look like this. See, and you get a little vibration around your face like I do right here. So on YouTube. But yeah, so if you're shy about that, by all means, I mean, don't be shy. It's all fun here. So yeah. So until next week, geez, where did the sounds go? There they are. There they are. Because we didn't do this last week. We were Steve's. He's the one that's got to go. Now he's stalling us.
Yeah.
Sorry.
John's doing good. Just all right. So till next week, what are you gonna do?
Go push play.
What he said.
There we go. And I'm just gonna tell us to go out of here because I lost